Welcome to AHRC TV's weekly roundup. In this week's program, AHRC TV brings you the following stories. Indian state of Kerala takes initiative to reform its police. Famous Chinese human rights lawyer whisked away by authorities. Rising trend of shooting prisoners in the legs in Bangladesh. Pakistani police use pseudonyms to denote types of torture inflicted on suspects in custody. Banned rat hole mining continuing through the back door in the Meghalaya state of India. Forced deportation of Uyghurs seen as inhumane of Thai government. Welcome to AHRC TV's weekly roundup. I am Christine Learn. This week's roundup begins in India. The Indian state of Kerala has initiated a process of police reforms, the first of its kind in Asia. What makes this attempt at reform different is that the government of Kerala is modernizing the state police by equipping it with the capacity to undertake scientific crime investigation. To get more details about this unique initiative, AHRC TV speaks with Mr. Bijo Francis, the Executive Director of the Asian Human Rights Commission.
The police reforms initiated in Kerala is very unique. It is unique because it is the first time where a government in Asia has accepted publicly that there are problems in the policing that need to be discussed, identified and addressed. Now, when we speak about police reforms, often we tend to understand it as training programs. And police force as such, irrespective of whether it is in Kerala or in India or anywhere else in the world, police forces are not new to training. But in the Asian context, when police reforms and training are discussed, it is often forgotten that these trained officers were to come back or were to implement the new skills that they have learned in the existing system, which is incompatible with the kind of training that they receive. For example, there are human rights training given to police officers or training on good policing given to police officers, but then they are expected to implement this in the same rut or in the same set of machinery which already exists, which in itself has a problem. So it is for this reason that the police reforms that is initiated by the government of Kerala is very unique, because the government, and through the voices of the police chief, because the chief of police, the DGP, Mr. Senkumar, has issued a public notice calling for a participatory approach to identify problems in the policing, which I think the police already has acknowledged that there are problems, and then to discuss about it, and then to call for expertise from experts on different subjects. For example, it is the first occasion where police publicly and a government is publicly saying that we need modern technology to be used in crime investigation, which means that the crime investigation, which today is beating or catching of a person, beating a person and making that person confess a crime, is going to change into a direction where science and technology, which is now available in abundance, is to be used in crime investigation, which means that misbehavior, the possibilities or the reason for the police to misbehave with the people, which creates a fear of police among the people, is going to end. The public statement has, or the public call made by the Director General of Police, also calls for expert advices. It includes criminologists, it includes police officers, serving and retired police officers. It includes specialists on science and other forms of technologies. It includes civil society organizations, it includes media, it includes other social activists. So what the police is looking forward for is to form separate teams which will study the existing system of policing in Kerala and work along with the police department, which is willing to modernize the police. I think this, by this example, the Kerala State Police has taken a prominent and a lead role in police reforms in the entirety of Asia, and I think that is an example which every other country and every other police department should emulate from.
Next, AHRC focuses on events in China in relation to the disappearance of a prominent human rights lawyer and many others summoned for questioning. Recently, China has detained over 100 human rights lawyers and political activists, the worst crackdown in 20 years. A particular case is female lawyer Wang Yu, who was taken away from her home by the police on 9th July. She has gained a standing for defending Uyghur economist Ilham Tohti and well-known rights activist Chao Shin-li, who died in police custody. Shortly after Wang's disappearance, more than 100 lawyers from China have expressed their support for her in an open letter, protesting her detention. Authorities have subsequently detained 2 of Wang's colleagues and several of those who signed their names in the letter. Lawyers have urged U.S. President Barack Obama to pressure Xi on China's human rights record during their upcoming meeting in the fall. AHRC TV now turns to Bangladesh, where Adilur Rahman Khan expresses his views on the horrifying new trend in Bangladesh. It is a rapidly rising problem. Law enforcement officers, specifically the police, have begun a practice of shooting detainees and prisoners in the legs. Without sufficient medical treatment, victims of this practice often have to get their legs amputated and become helpless. The number of such cases of horrifying disablement from 2014 to 2015 has reached about 100. Here's Adilur Khan.
Bangladesh, we have 3 kinds of major problems like enforced disappearance, extrajudicial killings, and custodial torture. But recently, police is using a new technique, which is when they detain someone, immediately they shoot at the leg of that person, so that that person is not treated and the leg is eventually amputated. This person becomes totally incapable in doing something. So this is a new trend, and we have been documenting this, and also newspapers reported on this. Students, factory workers, ordinary people, many kinds of people, types of people of various professions, they have been treated in this manner because government is facing political opposition and using law enforcement agencies including police to stop protests, any dissents. So whenever they think that somebody is protesting or somebody is near to a protest area, then just after detaining that person, shoot at the leg. And many student activists have also suffered because of this. People can't protest freely in Bangladesh because whenever they protest, they are attacked, they are shot, and when they are detained, they are shot at the legs or tortured in custody. It's a kind of a very difficult situation there. So freedom of expression, freedom of assembly is very much restricted or almost no space. So that's why it's very difficult for the ordinary people to protest. Opposition political parties are bringing out political statements, and as human rights defenders, we are also documenting and publishing our reports. In our monthly reports, we are doing that. And newspapers are also few newspapers which still can publish freely. They are reporting on this.
The program moves to events in Pakistan, where similarly cruel practices of torture are on the upswing. Pakistani police has been using the pseudonyms of half-fry and full-fry to indicate the kind of torture meted to a suspect. The use of the term full-fry is being used to indicate extrajudicial killings, while the term half-fry is colloquial for maiming a person for life, which, as the last story showed, is also the trend in Bangladesh. In the last 6 months, 118 suspects have been killed in fake encounters, and more than 200 have become handicapped by the police as a result of the police drive of half-fry and full-fry. Recently, a Hindu psychiatrist, Dr. Deepak Raj, has been half-fried. Dr. Raj was shot 15 times, 12 bullets to his left leg, 2 to his right leg, and a single shot to his right arm. His left leg had to be amputated, while his other leg and an arm remain in poor condition. In a press briefing on 7th March 2015, recorded by Dawn newspaper, the Deputy Inspector General of Sindh claimed that extrajudicial killings are the best modus operandi to curb crime. The law enforcement agencies have been given the power to shoot suspects on sight and to try them in military courts as a result of constitutional amendment. LEAs are therefore free to kill any person on the pretext of terrorism or encounters. The result of this freedom and impunity is a terrorized population. The program now turns back to India for the next story. In the Indian state of Meghalaya, the state government has failed to prevent illegal rat hole coal mining despite the ban imposed by the National Green Tribunal in April 2014. Since then, the state government has also failed to restore the damage done to the environment or to compensate child laborers affected in the coal mines. The public interest litigation filed before the Green Tribunal confirmed that such unscientific coal mining has caused environmental damage and that several children employed in the mines have either lost their lives or suffer from serious health problems. Last year, the Green Tribunal had observed that previously extracted coal has been lying in the open and that this can result in the spread of toxic substances. The Green Tribunal therefore permitted coal mine owners to transport the previously extracted coal and pay royalty to the Meghalaya government for 1 year, i.e. till 30th June 2015. During this period, wherein the coal mine owners were only given permission to transport already extracted coal, illegal mining has flourished. As many as 308 cases of legal mining have been registered against the mine owners, which highlights the failure of the government to prevent such acts and collect the needed royalty within the stipulated time. The state government has now filed an application before the Green Tribunal to further extend the date for transportation and collection royalty on coal, arguing that enough time was not granted to fulfill the Green Tribunal's directives. The Green Tribunal will hear this application for extension on 31st July 2015. To learn more, AHRC TV speaks with Hasina Karbi, Chair of Board, Impulse NGO Network.
I don't think the National Green Tribunal should grant any more time to the government of Meghalaya in transportation of coal. That would be the demand that I would be putting forward, because if they do allow some more time on the transportation of coal, there will be a crisis of more illegal mining coming up front, and that would mean that we are indirectly allowing more wastage of time, more wastage of resources. Above all, children will still be employed and will still be taken in for more kind of exploitation that it would be done more in hiding, where we will not be able to identify in the future. Now, the government has ensured that the installation of the weight bridge at all the points where they were checking the trucks who are transporting the coal. I mean, all trucks transporting the coal, they were actually had to go through the weight bridge. That was one portion where the government had managed to take on into installation of the weight bridges. The second part is that the fund that the NGT had created, that was the fund that they had mentioned that there will be an amount of money created specifically for the environmental protection and also restoration of the environment. Now, that fund is actually taken on. So what happened is that the state government and its authority, they were supposed to ensure that they will get a kind of rules and regulation of how the utilization of the fund should take place. But then that has not happened so far. The child laborers is not covered directly by the National Green Tribunal, but it was covered under the public health, because public health is within the domain of the National Green Tribunal. So under public health, they're supposed to give directives to the various concerned departments and various concerned legal authorities to see and intervene into rehabilitation packages for the children who've been affected by child labor. But above all, the most important element is compensation for the kids who have been, working in the coal mines is something that we as an organization are applying to the State Legal Service Authority, so that they would be ensured to get the compensation that they are mandated to get as per the ground and the Supreme Court order of the Government of India.
The program ends in Thailand. On 10th July, Thailand forcibly deported 109 Uyghur men back to China while sending 36 Uyghur women and 144 children to Turkey. 52 Uyghurs still remain in Thailand as their nationalities are yet to be confirmed. Human rights groups in Washington have condemned the deportation harshly, and the UN Refugee Agency has described the repatriations as a flagrant violation of international law. The Uyghurs were fleeing persistent attacks and abuses against them in Xinjiang, China. Therefore, those who were returned to China have voiced their fears about being sent back. Their enforced return showcases the Thailand junta's notable lack of consideration of human rights. The U.S. State Department spokesman, John Kirby, has strongly urged the government of Thailand and other governments in countries where Uyghurs have taken refuge not to carry out further forced deportation of ethnic Uyghurs. That is all for this weekly roundup. For more on these and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.